emergency today, Prime Minister Modi salutes all who fought for country's democracy and suffered torture, says a nation will never forget their sacrifice. Union Home Minister Amit Shah slams Congress on emergency, says on this day 45 years ago, one family's greed for power led to the imposition of the emergency. Overnight, the nation was turned into a prison. The interest of one family prevailed over party interest and national interest. This sorry state of affairs thrives in today's Congress too. ISRO Chief K. Sivan briefs media, says if space sector is open for private enterprises, potential of entire country can be utilized to scale up benefits from space technology. It will not only result in accelerated growth of sector, but also enable Indian industry to be an important player in global space economy. One terrorist killed in ongoing encounter at Ardashiva area of Sopore in North Kashmir. 2 to 3 terrorists are believed to be trapped. Major setback for Pakistan. Global terror financing watchdog FATF decides to keep Pakistan in the grey list as it fails to check flow of money to terror groups. US State Department report indicts Pakistan on support terrorism, says Islamabad continues to serve as safe haven for terror groups targeting India and Afghanistan. India's recovery rate improves to over 57% with 2.71 lakh recoveries. Active cases cross 1.86 lakh with 14,894 fatalities. Global corona cases rise over 94 lakh with over 4.82 lakh deaths world over. US notices second largest rise in new cases since crisis began. California sees 69% rise in just 2 days. Namaskar, I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Let's start with the top story. On 45 years of emergency, Prime Minister Narendra Modi shared a video. Let's listen in.
जब देश में आपातकाल लगाया गया, तब उसका विरोध सिर्फ राजनीतिक दायरे तक सीमित नहीं रहा था, राजनेताओं तक सीमित नहीं रहा था, जेल के सलाखों तक आंदोलन सिमट नहीं गया था, जन जन के दिल में एक आक्रोश था, खोए हुए लोकतंत्र की एक तड़प थी। दिन रात जब समय पर खाना खाते हैं तब भूख क्या होती है इसका पता नहीं होता है, वैसे ही सामान्य जीवन में लोकतंत्र के अधिकारों की क्या मजा है वो तो तब पता चलता है जब कोई लोकतंत्र के अधिकारों को छीन लेता है। आपातकाल में देश के हर नागरिक को लगने लगा था कि उसका कुछ छीन लिया गया है, जिसका उसने जीवन में कभी उपयोग नहीं किया था वो भी अगर छीन गया है तो उसका एक दर्द उसके दिल में था। और ये इसलिए नहीं था कि भारत के संविधान ने कुछ व्यवस्थाएं की हैं जिसके कारण लोकतंत्र पनपा है। समाज व्यवस्था को चलाने के लिए संविधान की भी जरूरत होती है, कायदे कानून नियमों की भी आवश्यकता होती है, अधिकार और कर्तव्य की भी बात होती है। लेकिन भारत गर्व के साथ कह सकता है कि हमारे लिए कानून नियमों से परे लोकतंत्र हमारे संस्कार है, लोकतंत्र हमारी संस्कृति है, लोकतंत्र हमारी विरासत है। और उस विरासत को लेकर के हम पले बड़े लोग हैं और इसलिए उसकी कमी देशवासी महसूस करते हैं और आपातकाल में हमने अनुभव किया था। और इसीलिए देश अपने लिए नहीं, एक पूरा चुनाव अपने हित के लिए नहीं, लोकतंत्र की रक्षा के लिए आहूत कर चुका था। शायद दुनिया के किसी देश में वहां के जन जन ने लोकतंत्र के लिए अपने बाकी हकों की, अधिकारों की, आवश्यकताओं की परवाह न करते हुए सिर्फ लोकतंत्र के लिए मतदान किया हो, तो ऐसा एक चुनाव इस देश ने 77 में देखा था।
Also, Prime Minister Narendra Modi tweeted and he said, I quote, "The emergency was imposed exactly 45 years ago today. I salute all those people who fought for country's democracy and suffered torture, and the nation will never forget their sacrifice." Also, Union Home Minister Amit Shah has hit out hard at Congress for imposing an emergency 45 years ago. In a series of tweets, Amit Shah said, and I quote, "On this day, 45 years ago, one family's greed for power led to the imposition of the emergency. Overnight, the nation was turned into a prison. The press, courts, free speech, all were trampled over. Atrocities were committed on the poor and downtrodden. And he added that due to efforts of lakhs of people, the emergency was lifted and the democracy was restored in India, but it remained absent in the Congress. The interest of one family prevailed over party interest and national interest, and this sorry state of affairs thrives in today's Congress too. And the minister highlighted that during the recent CWC meet, senior members and younger members raised a few issues, but they were shouted down. A party spokesperson was unceremoniously sacked. And the sad truth is leaders are feeling suffocated in the Congress. Amit Shah stressed that as one of India's opposition parties, Congress needs to ask itself, why does the emergency mindset remain? And why are leaders who don't belong to dynasty unable to speak up? And why are leaders getting frustrated in Congress? Else their disconnect with people will keep widening. Union Minister and BJP leader Ravi Shankar Prasad today slammed Congress party for its grossly undemocratic behavior. Let's listen in what he said.
पार्टी के चरित्र में कोई बदलाव हुआ है? अभी भी वही हाल है, अभी भी वही दरबार संस्कृति। जो ये समझता है उस समय इंदिरा गांधी वॉज इंडिया, आज वो समझता है गांधी परिवार इज कांग्रेस। और देश को चलाने का भगवान से पट्टा सिर्फ उन्हें ही मिला है। आज भी कांग्रेस पार्टी से जुड़े ऐसे कई वकील नेता हैं जिन्होंने भारत के मुख्य न्यायाधीश के खिलाफ बेबुनियाद आधार पर महाभियोग लाया था, और बाद में जब उनको सैंक्शन नहीं मिला तो उसको चैलेंज किया था, और बाद में उस केस को विड्रॉ कर लिया था।
Also, the minister said that during emergency, the media was censored and even judges were superseded. But today, the BJP government is committed towards the freedom of people of India, freedom of press and the freedom of judiciary.
हमारे कई लोग सैकड़ों हजारों संघ के स्वयंसेवक भयंकर यातनाएं झेली, और ये सब किया हम लोगों ने 3 आजादी के लिए। नंबर 1 भारत के लोगों की आजादी, नंबर 2 प्रेस मीडिया की आजादी, और नंबर 3 न्यायपालिका की आजादी। तो हम लोग तो इस संघर्ष से निकले हुए हैं, इसके लिए पीड़ा सही है इन तीनों आजादी के लिए। और हमारा यह संकल्प भारत के लोगों की आजादी, मीडिया की आजादी और न्यायपालिका की आजादी के लिए हमेशा समर्पित रहेगा।
Moving on, Minister of State for Power and New and Renewable Energy R.K. Singh today said that the country is self-sufficient in power generation and soon we will export more power. Addressing media, he said that every village, every district of the country has been connected under one nation, one grid.
We have put in place sufficient generation capacity so that currently our generation capacity is about twice our peak demand. Our peak demand is about 185 gigawatts. Our current established capacity is about 370 gigawatts. We are exporting power. We will export more power. We have connected the whole country into one grid, one nation, one grid. The last piece fell into place when we connected Leh and Ladakh. And now we are in the process of strengthening the interzonal transfers. That also we have increased from 22,000 megawatts to about 100,000 megawatts.
Now moving on, let's talk about the privatization in the space sector. ISRO chief K. Sivan has said that the government's decision to open up space sector for the private enterprises will ensure implementation of reform measures to leverage ISRO's achievement. While briefing media, he said that space sector, where India is among handful of countries with advanced space technology, can play significant role in boosting industrial base of India.
Department of Space will promote private sector space activities to enable it to provide end-to-end space services, including building and launching of rockets and satellites, as well as providing space-based services on commercial basis. Till now, ISRO only has been carrying out this research and development as well as operational activities in the area of launch vehicle, satellite, launching, as well as developing satellite applications. If the space sector is opened up, the potential of the entire country can be utilized to scale up the benefits from space technology. This will not only result in an accelerated growth of this sector, but will enable Indian industry to be an important player in the global space economy. With this, there is an opportunity for large-scale employment in the technology sector and India becoming a global technology powerhouse.
And the ISRO chief also said that an autonomous nodal agency under Department of Space with the name InSpace will be set up to enable the opening up of space sector for the private players and synergize the efforts. So InSpace's structure and other details will be worked out in the coming days.
We need to have a mechanism to allow the private players to carry out space activities, considering it involves safety, security and quality aspects. Therefore, government has approved establishment of an autonomous nodal agency called Indian National Space Promotion and Authorization Center, that is InSpace, under Department of Space, as a separate vertical for taking independent decisions with respect to permitting and regulating the activities of private companies in space sector.
And also expressing satisfaction that many private companies have already come forward. K7 said that others must start applying as soon as possible.
Private companies need not wait for the system to be formalized. They can start applying through Department of Space in the interim. We will process the requirements and do the needful even now itself. In fact, already private companies approached us for the use of space ISRO's facilities, and we are processing the request very fast track mode.
Moving on, Union Health Minister Dr. Harshvardhan launched the e-blood services app, an initiative of the Indian Red Cross Society dedicated to the fight against the COVID-19 and tiding over the crisis. And the patients admitted in COVID-19 wards in Thiruvananthapuram Medical College will now be able to enjoy music and read books in a relaxed manner. In a bid to minimize stress in COVID-19 patients, new wards of the Medical College Hospital are equipped with music systems, including a 24-hour FM channel and a library for book reading. The new wards have 50 beds each, and in the college there were 2 incidents of COVID-19 patients committing suicide, and report was sought by the health minister regarding it. So the new upgradation and renovation of the COVID wards were undertaken after a report suggested to minimize stress level in COVID patients who are in isolation, and the health minister KK Shailaja gave the approval. In coming days, more wards will be upgraded with these facilities, and it will be replicated in other districts. Moving on, continuing the mission of repatriation of Indian citizens stranded overseas, INS Jalashwa deployed under Operation Samudra Setu will bring back Indians from Bandar Abbas in Iran. The ship arrived off Bandar Abbas yesterday, and embarkation of Indian nationals commenced today morning. And India's battle against COVID-19 continues. Government is taking several steps for prevention, containment and management of COVID-19. So India now has 1,007 labs across the country, and out of these labs today 734 are in public sector. And the active cases 1,86,514, cured and discharged 2,71,696 and deaths are 14,894. And let's now take a look at the COVID-19 update from across the world. Globally, over 94.05 lakh people have tested positive for this virus, while over 4.82 lakh have lost their lives so far. The United States continue to remain the worst affected with respect to the number of confirmed cases, followed by Brazil and Russia, and over 223.80 lakh people have been tested positive across the US, while over 1.21 lakh have died due to COVID-19 so far. Brazil has recorded over 53,000 deaths and over 11.88 lakh confirmed cases, and trailing behind the US in both the categories, while Russia has reported over 6.06 lakh confirmed cases. And World Health Organization expects coronavirus cases to hit 10 million by next week, terming it a sober reminder. WHO chief Tedros Adhanom said that even as we continue R&D into vaccines and therapeutics, we have an urgent responsibility to do everything we can with the tools we have now to suppress the transmission and save lives. Tedros has backed Saudi Arabia's decision to ban pilgrims from abroad from attending the annual Hajj pilgrimage to help limit the spread of the virus. On the spread in the Americas, WHO has issued a warning saying that the virus was still raging there and needed a very aggressive response from governments to suppress the spread. So according to WHO, many countries including Britain had fought hard and were making a steady exit from the lockdown, and the WHO chief has expressed concern that many countries are now experiencing difficulties obtaining oxygen concentrators. He said that one of the most effective ways of saving lives from COVID-19 is providing oxygen to patients who need it. WHO estimates that at the current rate of 1 million new cases a week, the world needs about 6,20,000 cubic meters of oxygen a day, which is nearly 88,000 large cylinders. Now, United States has recorded the second largest increase in coronavirus cases since the health crisis began, with a rise of 35,588 new infections as a dozen states see infections surge. While the United States appeared to have curbed the outbreak in May, leading many states to lift restrictions on social and economic activity, the virus is moving into rural areas and other places that it had not initially penetrated deeply. The states which are witnessing the surge include Florida, Arizona, California, Mississippi, Nevada, and Texas. And the virus is also renewing its surge in states that opened up early to ease the devastating effect of the restrictions on local economies. White House advisor Kellyanne Conway on Wednesday acknowledged hotspot spikes were emerging as people return to work and gather in social settings. The White House Coronavirus Task Force is expected to come out with some reforms very soon. Meanwhile, the total number of confirmed cases in the United States have reached 23.78 lakhs and the number of fatalities stood at 1.21 lakhs. Over 6.56 lakhs have recovered so far. In California, the number of people hospitalized with COVID-19 has increased by nearly a third over 2 past weeks, with about 1,500 suspected or confirmed patients requiring intensive care. Country's 7,149 new infections announced on Wednesday brought the state total to 1,94,877. California Governor Gavin Newsom said that in the last few days the numbers have increased some 69%. He further added that numbers are expected to increase when test results from people who participated in massive anti-racism protests start coming in. And in UK, a clinical team at Imperial College London administered a COVID-19 vaccine candidate to the first healthy participant in their clinical trial. Over 300 people will have the potential COVID-19 vaccine over the next few weeks following successful animal trials. After the first phase, a follow-up trial is being planned for October involving 6,000 volunteers. The vaccine uses synthetic strands of genetic code called RNA, which mimic the virus rather than using a weakened or modified form of virus, which is how many traditional vaccines are made. The Imperial College method is a new approach to vaccine production designed to enable the immune system to respond to the virus without having to develop COVID-19. The team behind the research at the Imperial College hope the vaccine could be distributed in the UK and globally from early 2021. Well, in South Africa, Oxford University conducted first human trial for a potential vaccine against the coronavirus to assess how well the vaccine guards against COVID-19. Over 2,000 volunteers aged 18 to 65 years, including some HIV-positive patients, will be monitored for 12 months after the vaccination. South Africa is the second country outside UK to take part in the Oxford trial after Brazil launched its study. Meanwhile, the World Health Organization has warned Africa as the next epicenter of the pandemic. South Africa has the highest rate of infections on the continent, with confirmed cases at over 1 lakh and deaths at more than 2,000. In Brazil, Sao Paulo, people struggle to shop as the shops within the same shopping centers have been located with different lockdown rules. Different rules has created confusion among consumers as the Guatemi Esplanade closed. The decision came after the Sorocaba's local government announcement of no relaxation in quarantine measures. Brazil, Sao Paulo states has struggled to flatten its infection curve, and months after putting quarantine measures in place, Sao Paulo has recorded a new high of 434 deaths, bringing the total number of deaths to 13,068, while the country remains second worst affected in